Barbarians are one of the more interesting martials in D&D, not because they have a massive amount of power, because they generally don't. If you want to be doing damage, you probably want to be a fighter, which is true of a lot of classes, but that's a whole other thing. Instead, Barbarians' power often comes from their ability to take hits and just keep going. You get a lot of extra defensive boosts, not just from your health, but from your resistance to damage types. While you're raging, you also get little damage buffs here and there, and a few other cool things like boosts to your out-of-combat utility as well. And today I thought it would be good to continue the subclass rankings with the second entry, which is Barbarians, because the alphabet exists. And that's what we're going to be doing. I'm going to be going through every third-party 5.5e Barbarian subclass on D&D Beyond right now. I will not be doing the updated ones. They are not officially for 5.5e, and also there's already 13. Doing more than that in a single video will cause me to cry, and nobody wants that. Anyway, hello, my name is Jason, this is the Dungeon Himbo, my channel where I talk about all sorts of things. I do reviews for books, I do lists like this, build guides, and all sorts of stuff. If any of that sounds good to you, please drop a subscribe, and we shall now get into the list itself, shall we? This is our build list, same as last time. We have more than Knuff, Knuff for some, just Knuff, not Knuff, and who is this for? Each of which is broken into S, A, B, C, and D, so it's easier to follow than my silly Knuff-based thing, which will make more sense in the coming months when the temperature drops and I'm not wearing a vest. It's very warm still. We're in the 5th heat wave for the UK. Normal stuff. And you can see we have our 13 subclasses down below here. We'll be going as we go as we do the things. This is the one screen, the tier screen, but we will kick things off not on this screen, but on this one, which means I get flashbanged every time I want to change. As it is also, well, as it's first on the list, weirdly it's not alphabetically for the subclasses, but hey. We're going to kick off with the Berserker, arguably the worst subclass for Barbarians in 5e. The Berserker's pretty solid now. Wait, did this one used to be the spiky armor one? My brain is addled. Anyway, let's go over the features, shall we? So level 3, you get Frenzy. If you reckless attack while your rage is active, which you always should, you deal extra damage to the first target you hit on your turn with a strength-based attack. To determine the extra damage roll a number of d6s equal to your rage damage bonus and add them together. The damage is the same type as the weapon or unarmed strike used for the attack. This is a pure damage boost. There's nothing fancy or unnecessary about this. It starts off as 2d6, ends as 4d6 because the rage damage bonus is hoxy and often useless. This pushes it into generally being a lot better for critical hits because you're getting a lot of your damage from dice. Any hits you do will obviously be added. It's all good stuff. So that's nice. It is also a solid amount of damage. 2d6 at level 3 is the same amount that a rogue gets on a sneak attack, and you have this guaranteed just for being angry. You will always be reckless when you're attacking with a barbarian because you may as well. And alongside that, you're using something like a greatsword or a great axe. You might be doing 4d6 damage with this, which is preposterous, and that's without a magic weapon. If you throw in something like a flame tongue, you could be doing 1d12 plus 4d6 or something along those lines, which is very respectable. The advantage also means that it's more consistent, and while it is only once per turn and only on your turn, which means it can't work with opportunity attacks, it's still a solid feature. Level 6, we get Mindless Rage. This gives us immunity to Charmed and Frightened while we're raging. If we are either of those while we're raging, it ends. This one really depends on the kind of campaign you're in. It's not especially strong, but it's there. Level 10, we get Retaliation. When you take damage from a creature within 5 feet of you, you can take a reaction to make a melee attack against them using a weapon or unarmed strike. As I previously mentioned, the Frenzy doesn't work outside of your turn. So while this is a very reliable opportunity attack, it's not one we can make stronger, unfortunately, outside of the usual ways of making things stronger. And then level 14 is Intimidating Presence. As a bonus action, you can strike terror into others with your menacing presence and primal power. When you do so, each creature of your choice in a 30-foot emanation from you must make a failed save to become frightened, and they can keep making that saves. You can only do this once per long rest unless you expend a use of your rage to restore it. This is pretty naff, honestly, at level 14. A lot of creatures at this kind of level end up with Frightened immunity or advantage on saving throws against Frightened and things like this. It's just one of those things. So what we have here is a class with an incredibly strong level 3 feature, a solid level 10 feature, and very middling to weak 6 and 14 features. So I think the Berserker goes in C, not Knuff. I don't think it's D tier because I do think that level 3 feature is a big boost to your strength. Pun intended? Half a pun? That's a very lazy pun. I think it's a solid one. I just don't think it's an especially exciting subclass after that, unfortunately. If we could add our frenzy bonus damage to our opportunity attacks, I'd be inclined to bump that up to B probably. But as it stands, I think that's where this one belongs. Next is the Path of the Wild Heart, previously the Totem Warrior, right? Level 3, you get Animal Speaker, which allows you to cast Beast, Sense, and speak with animals as rituals. Using Wisdom doesn't really matter. These have no saves, so it's a bit of an odd one, but it's nice to have those if you want to be an animal-y boy, although there are other subclasses that fit this. Rage of the Wilds is your main level 3 feature. When you're raging, you can choose one of the following options. You can choose Bear to get resistance to all damage apart from Force, Necrotic, Psychic, and Radiant. That is very strong. Eagle, when you rage, you can take the dash and disengage actions as part of that bonus action, and you can take a bonus action to take both of those actions. That's really strong. And Wolf, while your rage is active, your allies have advantage on attack rolls against any enemy of yours within 5 feet of you. And those are all good options. Bear is obviously the tanking one, Eagle is the movement one, and Wolf is the advantage one. Giving advantage to your allies can be very powerful. At level 3, it's not given that your allies have that. And the fact that you can choose every single time you go into rage makes it really flexible as well. This is a very strong feature. Doesn't do anything for our damage, but it doesn't always need to. Level 6, we get 3 options which we can switch between on a long rest. We can get Dark Vision of 60 feet if we already have Dark Vision. We can increase it by 60 feet. Panther gives us a climb speed equal to our speed, and Salmon gives us a swim speed equal to our speed. There is something deeply funny about it being a salmon when everything else is like an apex predator, but hey ho, let's go. I don't love the level 6 feature, to be perfectly honest. It borders on being a ribbon feature in a lot of campaigns. I think climb speed might be the best one of the bunch, generally speaking, but it does depend on what species you started with and whether or not you already have Dark Vision. Level 10, we get Nature Speaker, which gives you the Commune with Nature spell, but only as a ritual. This lets you learn facts about stuff, which can be handy. It's a really strong out-of-combat boost, much like the other spells that you have. And level 14, you get Power of the Wilds. You also gain one of the following actions when you rage. This is alongside the previous options you have access to, so you get one of each. Falcon gives you a fly speed, thereby completely negating the level 6 feature. I realize the level 6 feature is only when you're raging, but at level 14 you're probably raging most of the time. So Lion is when your rage is active, any enemies within 5 feet of you have disadvantage on attack rolls against other creatures, or another Barbarian who has this option active. This is a taunt effect, effectively, making you a better tank, which is good. And Ram, while your rage is active, you can cause a large or smaller creature to have the prone condition when you hit it with a melee attack. There's no saving throw on that, and again, this is a nice way to give your allies advantage on things. The level 14 and level 3 features are really solid. The level 10 feature, Commune with Nature, is a nice boost to your utility, as is Beast Sense and Speak with Animals. I don't like the level 6 feature, but it's not bad, it's just uninteresting. It's unexciting, right? I think all of that in mind, I'm gonna go ahead and put Wild Heart into the B tier here. I like it, I do. I just think a couple of the features feel a little unsatisfying. And while it does a lot for our utility and how well we can work as part of a team, it does very little for our actual damage, and Barbarians' damage is not that good. They do kind of need the help. So yeah, B tier I think is fine. Next is the Path of the World tree. I have a player in a campaign I'm a player in who is one of these. I have seen this thing up close. It is a beast. Level 3, you get Vitality of the tree. When you activate your rage, you get temp health equal to your Barbarian level. Nice and simple. The temp health is good. There is lots of temp health in D&D. It's a running meme at this point in 5.5, but it's nice to be able to just get it when you rage, and effectively that's generally doubled for you as well because of the resistances that you have. Also at level 3, at the start of each of your turns while your rage is active, you can choose another creature within 10 feet of yourself to give temp health, which you roll the number of d6s equals your rage damage bonus and add them together. These temp health end when your rage vanishes, whereas your temp health doesn't, by the way. It's also specifically another creature, which means you cannot give these to yourself, but this is already a very strong indicator of what it is that this class can do, which is support. It is a support barbarian, and it's very good at what it does. Level 6, we get Branches of the Tree. This allows you to, when a creature you can see starts its turn within 30 feet of you while you're angry, you can take a reaction to summon branches around it. They must succeed on a strength save or be teleported to an unoccupied space you can see within 5 feet of you, and they then get a speed of 0 as well. This is a great way of just keeping an enemy close, whether they're trying to escape or you just want to finish them off, whatever it is. So solid, very solid. Level 10, you get Battering Roots. During your turn, your reach is 10 10 feet greater with any melee weapon that has the heavy or versatile property as tendrils of the world re-extend from you. When you hit with a weapon on your turn, you can activate both the push and topple mastery in addition to whatever mastery the weapon has natively. This is just good. Extra reach is fantastic. Again, it's going to help you stay alive even more, especially because you can lock people down. And both the push and topple mastery are useful in and of themselves, let alone as and when you want, and alongside something like slow, or you could do both push and topple. Right, this is good stuff. Actually, what's really cool with this is you can combine this with cleave to potentially topple twice. I don't think there's anything stopping you topple as many times as you want, right? Yeah, so you could cleave and topple with both targets. Very nifty. And then level 14, when you activate your rage and as a bonus action while you're raging, you can teleport up to 60 feet to an unoccupied space you can see. In addition, once per rage, you can increase the range of the teleport to 150 feet and can bring up to 6 willing creatures who are within 10 feet of you when you do so. Each creature teleports to an unoccupied space of your choice, within 10 feet of your destination space. This is just such a cool subclass. The flavor is amazing, the vibes are on point, and what we're doing here is controlling the battlefield while also supporting our friends. It's a very solid class, very solid subclass. But where does that put this here? It doesn't do anything for damage, and you're not getting a massive stuff outside of combat. You can teleport, which can be very, very handy, and you can do that outside of combat as long as you're raging, right? Which isn't especially hard to do. I think I'd love for it to have damage as well, but it does feel greedy. So I'm going to put it in A for now. I think that's A tier, or right at the top of B. Hard to say, but that's what I'm going with. Is it Battle Rager, the spiky one? Maybe it was Battle Rager. Anyway, we're on to the Zealot. Level 3, you can channel divine power into your strikes once on each of your turns while you're raging. And the first creature you hit with a weapon or unarmed strike takes an extra 1d6 plus your half your Barbarian level, rounded down. Extra damage is necrotic or radiant. You choose the damage type each time you deal damage. Here's a fun mathematical question for you. Do you think this or the Berserker feature does more damage? At level 3, it's the Berserker feature. On average, it's 3.5 plus 3.5 for the Berserker, whereas this is 3.5 plus 1 because it's rounded down. But at level 20, you've got 4 dice, right? Which is 14, therefore. Whereas this will be an average of 14 if we round up. So more or less the same, which is odd. However, the Berserker's feature also gives you the ability to add more dice as you crit, whereas this only gives you 1 dice as you crit. So it's more consistent damage with this one. The bell curve would be more belltastic? I don't know where I'm going with this one. Anyway, other level 3 feature. Warrior of the Gods. You have a pool of 4d12s you can spend to heal yourself. As a bonus action, you can expend dice from the pool, roll them, and regain a number of hit points equal to the roll's total. Your pool regains all expended dice when you finish a long rest, and it goes up at level 6, 12, and 17. Free healing on a Barbarian is good. It's good. So we get a little bit of extra damage, and we get a little bit of extra survivability here as well. Not a bad start for the Zealot. Fanatical Focus at level 6. Once per active rage, if you fail a saving throw, you can re-roll it with a bonus equal to your rage damage bonus, and you must use the new roll. The rage damage bonus is awful, honestly. 2, 3, 4. I think 3 at 9, 4 at 17 off the top of my head. Awful scaling, anyway, is the point. So it's not a massive bonus, but it is a free re-roll once per active rage, which is never a bad thing. To have access to that when you need it, and giving yourself a little bit of a nudge in the right direction is always going to help too. This is a solid feature. Level 10, we get Zealous Presence. I cannot speak today. This is a great time to be doing a video. As a bonus action, you shout real loud. Up to 10 creatures of your choice within 60 feet of you gain advantage on attack rolls and saving throws until the start of your next turn. You can do this once per long rest, unless you expend the use of your rage to restore it. This is really good. Giving up to 10 creatures advantage on everything until the start of your next turn is absolutely wild, especially if you do have a party where you have a lot of pets or summons, or you're just really good at utilizing reactions and things like that, right? This has the potential to completely change the flow of a fight. If there are a lot of saving throws involved or anything else, you're just getting a lot of value from this, so that's a really strong feature. The fact that you can restore it as well is super useful, because you don't need to do an action to do so, which means you don't need to state that you're going to do this until you decide you need to do this, which is fantastic. And then level 14, we get Rage of the Gods. Gives you a paladin bonus form, basically. When you rage, you can assume the form of a divine warrior, which lasts for a minute until you drop to 0 hit points. You can only do this once per long rest. You gain a fly speed equal to your speed and you can hover. You gain resistance, necrotic, psychic, and radiance damage, which is... honestly, all three of those are a little niche, but it's not bad to have more resistances. And when a creature within 30 feet of you would drop to 0 hit points, you can take a reaction to expend a use of your rage to instead change the target's hit points to a number equal to your Barbarian level, which is going to be 14 when you get this. This is all... okay. I don't love that. I think we're starting off pretty strong here up until level 10. I really do like all of those features, with both 3 and 6 feeling especially potent, but 14 is sort of okay. The fly speed is good, but it's quite possible you have a fly speed from other stuff, supporting casters, magic items, something like that, right? The resistances are niche, which makes them a lot less effective. Obviously, if you're against celestials or undead, then the radiant and necrotic is good. If you're hunting down mind flayers, the psychic is good. So these aren't never going to come up, but they're not going to come up as often as something like fire. And the revivification is great because you can do this technically every single turn, as long as you have your reaction, but you do need to expend a rage to do so. It's not necessarily going to keep them out of harm's way for more than one hit, though. While hit points equal to your Barbarian level is nice, the difference realistically at level 14 between 1 hit point and 14 hit points is practically non-existent for most attacks. So it's cool. It might not actually keep them alive unless they're next in the turn order, though. So it's kind of an underwhelming end, I think, as cool as the concept is. So that leaves us with a relatively solid entry here. I'm going to put Zealot at the top of B tier. I think it's good. I don't think it's as good as the World Tree, as much as I like a lot of what it's doing. It does have damage. It has a little bit of everything, right? But it's not excelling at any one thing. Whereas I think the more dedicated support stylings of the World Tree really help. And so we enter into the wild world of third-party stuff, and I'm on the wrong screen. Here we go. Path of the Experiment is from the Crooked Moon book. Level 3, we get Alchemist Supplies, we get proficiency with it as well, and we can use both either Alchemist Supplies or Herbalism kits to make potions of healing, which is solid. Along with that, you get 3 different serums you can activate when you rage, or if you use a bonus action, you can switch between them while raging. Very Wild Heart coded on that front. Ferocity allows you to ignore difficult terrain, and when you hit with a melee weapon or unarmed strike, you can cleave along with using a different weapon mastery. That's very good. Something like a greatsword with a graze plus cleave is just good, because even if you miss on the cleave, you're still going to be doing graze damage, right? Hard to argue with that kind of stuff. Monstrosity allows you to change in appearance. Your reach increases by 5 feet, and once per turn you can add your rage damage bonus to a missed attack to potentially make it hit. And if you're smaller than large, you become large along with anything you're carrying. That one's a little less impressive unless you want to be large to grapple stuff, which isn't a bad way to play this. You also get Reconstruction, which upon activation at the start of each of your turns allows you to expend and roll a hit point die. You gain health equal to that plus your con mod, and any excess health becomes temp health instead. However, if you take acid or fire damage, the serum does not function until the start of your next turn. These are all solid options. Technically, none of them are damage-based. I mean, Ferocity is because Cleave is, but you need another enemy within range of the enemy, right? But being able to ignore difficult terrain can be handy in some very niche circumstances. The Monstrosity one, the extra reach is nice, along with the extra size as well. The reach is also not tied to your size, so if you can't get large, that's not an issue. And healing is good, and the ability to switch between all 3 of them is also good. So this is a very solid level 3 feature. Level 6, you now get compound options. These were serums, the level 3 ones. When you rage, you can activate a compound option as well as your serums. The chosen compound lasts for the duration of rage or until you choose a new compound. The stimulated senses give you blind sight up to 30 feet. If you already have blind sight, its range increases by 30 feet. This is really solid if you've gone blind fighting style. If you've taken like a dip into fighter to get the blind fighting style, which I think is 10 feet. Boosting that by 30 feet on top of that is pretty tasty, especially if you're running in a darkness or a fog or cloud coded team, so not bad. Maddening Fumes gives you an emanation where enemies' speed is halved, and while in it they have to make wisdom saves or they get disadvantaged on attack rolls against other creatures, so it's a tanking one. And then Corrosive Expulsion allows you to, when you attack, you can replace your attack with a 15-foot cone or 30-foot line. Dex save, or they take a number of d8 damage equal to a rage bonus, which is acid damage. Doesn't do anything else. These are all, honestly, these are all kind of fine. The level 3 ones are really, really solid. I don't think any of these are as strong, but getting access to one of each is not a bad thing. And if you can get a bunch of creatures in that the Corrosive Expulsion, the last one, you are going to feel pretty good about it. 10 gives us Reactive Catalyst. When you take damage or when you gain the blinded, deafened, poisoned, or stunned condition, you can take a reaction to enter your rage before the damage or conditions are applied. And while you enter your rage, you can end any of those conditions on yourself, including the triggering conditions. That's really solid. Along with that, you get advantage on Constitution saving throws while you're raging, which is also solid. Con saves aren't that common if you're not a spellcaster, but the effects that do con saves tend to be pretty nasty, so having a better chance of succeeding them is nice. Finally, we get level 14, Biochemical Admixture. Tells you when you choose your level 3 option to choose 2 instead of 1, and along with that, if you hit when a creature within 5 feet of you damages you with a melee attack while you're raging, the creature takes 1d12 acid damage, but each creature can only take that damage once per turn, but multiple creatures can take that damage during a round. That's all solid. The level 3 features are decent, and having access to probably Ferocity and Monstrosity for more damage and more cleaving is probably the combo there, but it's all solid. You're getting a little bit of damage here, it's a little bit of everything in a very similar way to the Zealot, really, which makes me think it should probably be alongside the Zealot. I think it is above the Zealot, but it's pretty close. The Zealot's a little bit simpler with its general presentation, but I think I like the experiment features more on the whole, even though the level 14 feature is just you can choose 2 level 3 ones, which isn't especially exciting in terms of a design space, but makes perfect sense from a progression sense. So yeah, I think I'll put it there. Lots of B tiers so far. We're gonna have to use more of the tier list. Next is a Grim Hollow one, Path of the Fractured. Level 3, you get 2 features. You get Face of Rage. Any creature that hasn't seen you in your rage before will not recognize you when you're raging, and while your rage is active, you get an extra benefit. You can roll a d8 in place of your normal unarmed strike damage, and when you deal damage with an unarmed strike, you can do force or its normal damage. Along with that, when you hit a creature with an unarmed strike, you can push it 10 feet or force it to make a con save or be knocked prone. You also count as one size larger when determining the success or failure of a grapple. And when you make an unarmed strike, your reach is 5 feet greater than normal. This is an unarmed Barbarian, which is a super cool design space, and it's nice to see it. There is one of these in the Steinhardt's Guide to the Eldritch Hunt, the update, the 5.5 year update. And I'm really sad we don't have it in D&D Beyond, but I am hopeful we get it one day. Not that this is bad. This is all good stuff. You're getting a damage boost there, sort of. It just means your unarmed strikes are viable, but you're also getting a bit of control with both pushing and prone, and a little bit of extra utility, sort of, with the grapple, along with better reach too. So it's a solid first level 3 feature. We also get another one. You gain proficiency in Arcana, History, Investigation, Medicine, Nature, Persuasion, or Religion, and you gain proficiency with an artisan's tools of your choice and know one language of your choice. So it's just a nice out of combat boost, a really blatant one as well, which is something you don't see much of in the Barbarian features, which is really cool to see. Level 6, we get Brawns and Brain. While your rage is not active, you gain resistance to psychic damage, and when your rage is active, you get resistance to all damage apart from force and psychic. This is a feature creep, to say the least, versus the Wild Heart, where this just gives you this at level 3. Hard not to argue that this is just a little pushed, but I also think it's obviously a very strong feature. So I also like the fact that you get psychic resistance when you're not raging. It's a nice way to push the Jekyll and Hyde vibe that this subclass is going for. Level 10, you get Cunning and Brutal. When you're not raging, you can disengage or help as a bonus action while you are raging. Your unarmed strikes can crit on 19 or 20 on the d20. Level 14, finally, when you're reduced to 0 hit points but not killed outright, you can drop to 1 hit point instead. You gain temp health equal to your hit point maximum, and if your rage is active, your rage ends. If your rage is not active, you immediately rage. Your temp health also disappears after a minute. If any of them are still around, you can only do this once per long rest. This is obviously a very solid subclass, but it's also one where you're splitting all the benefits you're getting across your 2 paths, right? Which means you don't get all of these things all at once, which is interesting. I think this is by far and away the best one for out of combat Barbarians, if that is something you are interested in doing. But the focus on unarmed strikes, while cool, makes it a little bit harder to really benefit from some of the other Barbarian features like weapon masteries. You are not going to be able to build this like a standard Barbarian. You're going to want to be taking the grappler feat, for example, and trying to find items which boost your unarmed strikes, which don't tend to add dice to them either. Which means that while the extra crit chance at level 10 is nice, it's not as nice as it would be on a weapon. 2d6 doubled is obviously more than 1d8 doubled. It's not close, and that is worth noting. So you're kind of hamstringing yourself with a focus on the unarmed strikes, but getting little benefits here and there to help make that better. You could also 100% combo this with a monk to get stronger unarmed strikes in general and bonus action extra hits, or even the pugilist. The pugilist is a fantastic multi-class with this particular subclass, so that's worth considering too. Where do I think this goes? I think this... I'm on the wrong screen. Hold on. Tier list. I think the Fractured is probably a little worse than the Experiment. Maybe even a little worse than the Zealot. You're getting so much tankiness, though. I'm going to put it above the Experiment. You know what? We've been using the B tier too much. I'm going to put it in A tier, but it's low A tier, I think. I absolutely adore it. The flavor is wonderful, but it... being unarmed focused, like I said, it kind of hampers it in a few different ways, and I do think that's worth noting. Next, we have a Griffin's Saddlebag one. This is the Path of the Glacier. I love the Saddlebag books. They are some of my favorites. If you're ever wondering what books to buy and magic items your main concern, the Griffin Saddlebag is the easy choice. Do not look elsewhere. There is no point. Level 3, we get 2 features here. We get Permafrost. You gain the following benefits. These are just permanent all the time, apart from the one which says otherwise. You get resistance to cold damage and a +1 bonus to your AC. Also, when your rage would end, while you don't have the unconscious condition, you can choose to extend it, no action required. You can use this feature a number of times equal to your con mod, and you gain all uses on a long rest. This isn't as good now that you can just spend a bonus action to maintain your rage, but if you have other bonus actions to use that aren't hitting someone, then it's nice to have that as a backup. So it's a useful enough one. Level 3, we also get Frostbite once on each of your turns. Once again, can't opportunity attack with this. While your rage is active, you can release a burst of sheer cold. When you do, the target takes an extra 1d6 cold damage from the attack, which goes up to 2d6 at level 9 and 3d6 at level 16. Also, when a creature is hit by that cold damage, its speed is reduced by 10 feet until the start of your next turn. This is a little bit of damage, a little bit of control. It's solid. It's not fantastic. It's solid. And cold damage can be resisted, which is a little rough, but it's not that common as a resistance. Cold Fortress at level 6. When you enter your rage and you aren't wearing armor, your skin becomes protected by a protective layer of frost. This gives you temp health equal to 1d12 plus your con modifier. You can also take a bonus action on your following turns and expend a hit point die and gain these temp health again, which is nice. It's a little bit more tanky. So we've got a lot of tankiness actually. Extra AC, resistance to cold, a little bit of extra damage, and some extra health as well is all solid stuff. Although I don't think the level 6 feature is very interesting. Temp health isn't exciting, I don't think. Level 10, you get Deep Sleep. When you take a long rest, you become cold to the touch and a few other things. This long rest takes 6 hours, but if you take damage or a creature uses action to slap you awake, it ends early. If you finish the 6 hours of sleep, you gain the benefit of a long rest, and you gain a special pool of hit point dice, which lasts until the end of your next rest and can be used as normal. This pool has a number of Barbarian hit point die equal to your con modifier. Extra hit point die means more healing in the long term, and obviously if you've got ways to expend your hit point dice in ways other than the bonus action that we got at level 6, that could give you more damage or more anything else. It really depends what you're doing with it. So that's not bad. Level 14, we get our final feature, which is Avalanche Stomp. You become as unstoppable as a glacier. Mighty as an unstoppable glacier. I can read words. Magic action, Stomp. Each creature of your choice in a 15-foot emanation originating from you must make a dex save. On a failed save, they take 3d6 bludgeoning and become plus your strength and become prone. Dex saves are better to target than con saves, but it's not as different as I'd like it to be. The features in this one are all very on point, but quite disparate in terms of their... Disparate, is that the right word? I think so. In terms of their sensibilities, you're going for different things. The level 10 feature is arguably just a ribbon feature, and only getting that at level 10 is going to feel rough. Yeah, you do get some more survivability, but it's just it's unexciting. And taking a full magic action means you can't attack. 3d6 bludgeoning is fine. They don't take any damage if they save on this throw because they don't get knocked over. And they don't go prone either. So it's kind of a weak end. I like both of the level 3 features. The level 6 feature is interesting, and the level 10 feature I don't love, and the level 14 feature I don't love. So I'm going to put it below the Berserker. So there we go. On to Steinhardt's Guide to the Eldritch Hunt Player Pack. So many words, so little time. This is the Lightning Vessel. Barbarian. I really like this Barbarian, so I'm anticipating this one to be high. Although how I look at things when I'm reviewing them versus how I tier list things is quite different. I guess I'll have to explain that at some point, but not today. Level 3, we get two things. We get Galvanic Heart, which gives us resistance to lightning damage, and if we already have resistance, we can roll a number of d6s equal to our rage damage when we take lightning damage to reduce the damage by that amount, which is an interesting way to not give us immunity, but to give us something better than resistance. I don't hate it. We also get a saving throw for our vessel features, which is 8 plus our con mod and proficiency bonus. And then vessel damage is d4 is equal to a rage damage bonus, which is never going to be that high, but it is nice to know that's how that works. This is always lightning damage. These features, this chunk, Galvanic Heart, is really more of an explainer of the other stuff that we're getting outside of the resistance to lightning damage. The main thing we're getting at level 3 is the Unbound Storm. When we're raging, you can take bonus actions to do stuff. Electrified Chains allows us to, the next time we hit a creature, it takes our vessel damage, which is 2d4 at this point, becomes ensnared by the chains, which anchor them to the ground until the start of your next turn. Each time it attempts to move more than 10 feet while ensnared, it must make an athletics check against your vessel save DC, freeing itself on a success. On a failure, it takes your vessel damage again, and its speed is reduced to 0 until the start of your next turn. So this is a really good way to lock someone in place. It's also just cool. Fulgurant Strike allows you to hit someone, leave the weapon embedded in their chest for a moment, bonus action call down lightning to strike them. They take your vessel damage, and each creature in a 10 for emanation must make a dex saving throw or also take the damage. You do have advantage on that save, so it does target you. You are calling down a lightning strike after all. And then lightning step allows you to, as a bonus action, move up to half your speed. Your body becomes supercharged during that. If you end the movement with 5 feet of the creature, it takes your vessel damage as the lightning leaps to them. If there are multiple creatures, you choose one that takes that damage. This has no save, you just have to end your movement within range of them, which makes it a very solid way to just get sneaky damage in if you think something's close and you're worried about missing it. These are all cool, I don't know what to say, they all do damage and also give you, we've got movement, we've got locking people down, and we've got AoE damage as well. Hard to argue with any of that. Level 6 is Roaring Crash. When you enter your rage, you leap into the air. I'm going to summarize this one, there's a lot. You land in a space within 30 feet of yourself that isn't occupied by a huge or larger creature. Each creature in a 10 foot emanation must make a dex save, taking twice your vessel damage on a failed save. If you land on a creature, which is large or smaller, it has disadvantage on the saving throw. It's pushed 5 feet outside the space to an unoccupied space of their choice. If there is no space, so if the enemies are all packed up, the creature instead becomes prone as you land on them. They're huge creatures, and when you get level 14, it's 90 feet and you can land on any creature. This is a very nifty little thing. It's a great bit. It's a great way to get into the battle. You can also move half your speed when you enter your rage as well because of the feral instincts, maybe? Instinctive pounce, which is around this level. So you could theoretically move, then jump, I would say, but talk to your DM because it's a little wibbly, but it's a cool enough one. Level 10, we get the ability to, when we make a dex check, add a bonus equal to our con modifier, which is very nice. That includes initiative rolls, which is very cool. And while your rage is active, you can lightning step once on each of your turns without taking a bonus action, which means we just get more movement and more damage. It's fantastic. And level 14, our final feature, you can add your con mod to your vessel damage, and all of your things get upgraded. Your chains then trigger on 5 feet and stop the creature making reactions if they fail. Your Fulgurant Strike emanation goes up to 20 feet, and you can choose if creatures up to your con mod to automatically succeed on the saving throw. And your lightning step allows you to just teleport the distance instead of moving, which is super cool. I really like that as a final feature. It's upgrading our level 3 feature in a very similar way to the experiment, but in a much more demonstrably powerful way. We're not just choosing two, we're just getting better at them all. Arguably, the level 6 feature is the weakest here, because it only triggers when we enter rage. While the level 10 feature doesn't seem especially exciting, having a bonus to our dex checks can be huge, especially if you've taken the alert feat. You might be the best at initiative rolls in the game, which is kind of wild. So that's worth keeping in mind. I adore this class. I don't think it can go anywhere other than S tier. in my opinion. So Lightning Vessel is our first S tier 1. Congrats to the Lightning Boy. Next is the Path of the Muscle Wizard. Valdespire's Secrets, the first player pack. Oh, I'm getting hungry. This is a silly subclass, so strap in. Unarguable Wizardry at level 3 allows you to gain advantage on intimidation checks made to convince people that you are in fact a wizard. You can also take a reaction to enter your rage if someone questions your magical prowess. It lasts only until the end of your next turn, and it can't be expended, and it can't be extended, and doesn't expend a use of your rage. Super niche, very ribbon feature. It's funny though, isn't it? Level 3, you also get cantrips. Once on each of your turns, when you hit a target with a strength-based attack, you can use one of the following features. You can move the creature up to 5 feet away from yourself. While you're raging, you can push them 10 feet instead. If you want to, you can stop the target making opportunity attacks until the end of your current turn, which means you can get away from them. If your rage is active, they can't make opportunity attacks until the start of your next turn. And True Strike allows you to deal an extra d6 of damage, which works for weapon and unarmed strikes, and while your rage is active, you also add half your barbarian level rounded down to the extra damage. You can do this once on each of your turns. You can choose any one of these 3. The flexibility is quite nice. Moving enemies can be really handy. Stopping them making opportunity attacks is really quite potent because it means people could just run in and out. Great for rogues, for example. And the True Strike is extra damage. Hard to argue with extra damage. It's very silly, but it is actually fairly effective. Level 6, we get spells. While your rage is active, you can use each of the following spells once. You can't do so again until you finish a long rest. You get Burning Hands. As an action, you make an unarmed strike against each creature within your reach. On a hit, this deals bludgeoning damage equal to 1d8 plus your strength mod, and the target has disadvantage on the next attack it makes before the start of your next turn. Magic Missile. As an action, you can make up to 3 ranged attacks using darts, daggers, or other weapons with a thrown property that use strength for the attack roll and damage rolls. Because it never misses, you have advantage on those attack rolls. You already have advantage on thrown weapon attacks in 5.5e anyway, so that's not great. But 3 attacks is a bit more than 2, so that can be quite nice. There are thrown weapon barbarians. The issue is the thrown weapon barbarians are usually other subclasses, which means that this is sort of at odds to them. You also get the ability to shield. You take a reaction to don a shield to defend yourself. You gain the shield's AC bonus against the triggering attack, potentially causing it to miss. If the attack hits, damage dealt to you is reduced by an amount equal to your barbarian level. It's not a particularly good level 6 feature, let's be honest. Level 10, you get magic resistance. While your rage is active, you have advantage on saving throws against spells or other magical effects. That's just really powerful, actually. That's something you get on high-level monsters, and it's actually very, very strong. I don't have anything else to say about that. It's just good. And level 14, you get I Cast Fist. When you take the attack action while your rage is active, you can replace one of your attacks with a really harsh punch. Make an unarmed strike with advantage. On a hit, the target takes bludgeoning damage equal to 66 plus your strength mod and has the prone condition if it's huge or smaller. You can do this once per rage. So once per rage is solid. It's a decent amount of damage. Also, just knocking them prone as long as you hit them is pretty good. And actually, as with Magic Missile, the fact that it has advantage anyway means you don't have to Reckless to get the advantage, which is nice. This is, I mean, it's not a bad subclass, but it's not a great subclass. I'm going to go for high C here. Level 10 feature so good though. Is it low B? I'm not 100% on that. Let me know what you think. Next is also Grim Hollow, Path of the Primal Spirit. This is the pet subclass, which is good news if you like pets. You can choose a stat block. You get Primal Guardian or Primal Striker, and also land, sea, or sky. So you get 6 technically. The Guardian is friendly to you. It requires a bonus action to get it to act. It can move and use its reaction on its own, but otherwise just takes the dodge action. You can also sacrifice one of your attacks to attack with it instead. Also, if the Guardian has died within the last hour, you can take a magic action to touch it and expend a use of your rage to bring it back. Otherwise, you have to wait until you finish a long rest to summon a new one. The Primal Guardian is solid, AC of 12 plus your con mod. Hit points are 6 plus 6 times your barb level. It gets dark vision, and its traits are when the Guardian becomes bloodied, it gains temp health equal to half of its hit points, and is raged for 10 minutes. While enraged, hostile creatures within 5 feet have disadvantage on attack rolls against creatures other than the Guardian. It also can't be surprised, and you can add your proficiency bonus to any ability check, attack roll, or saving throw the beast makes. The natural weapon it has is 1d4 plus 2 plus your rage damage, which is nice, and it has a reaction to take damage on behalf of someone else if it's within 5 feet of them, which is cool. It has different movement speeds, basically, depending on whether it's land, sea, or sky. Being dense. What's the point of it being land over sky? Oh, because it's larger. It's large if it's land or sky, so you can ride on it. Primal Striker is the more aggressive one. Still 12 plus your con mod. The HP is 5 plus 4 times your Barbarian level, so it's not as tanky health-wise. It's also faster, 40 feet normally, 60 feet in the sky, 60 feet in the sea. If it's submerged and it's the sea one, it has advantage on attack rolls against creatures without a swim speed. It also has advantage on attack rolls while you're raging. If it's the flying one, it gets flyby, which is fantastic, and its attack deals 1d8 plus 2 plus your rage damage. Also, if it's a land version, when a creature the beast can see within 5 feet of it makes an attack roll, it can give advantage on that attack roll. So useful stuff. That was just one part of level 3. Also at level 3, while you're raging, your Primal Companion gets resistance to bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing damage, which is nice. At level 6, you get Kin to Beasts. You get both Animal Friendship and Speak with Animals spells prepared. You can cast them each without a spell slot, but you can only do so once per short or long rest. You can also use your actual spell slots if you have spell slots. And Constitution is your spell casting modifier. I don't like that as a level 6 feature. To be frank, I just don't think it's very good. Level 10, Skin Rider's Trance. As a magic action, you can enter a trance and choose your primal companion or a beast under the effect of animal friendship within 60 feet of yourself. You possess the creature for the duration. You control it, you get all of its features, basically, apart from your mental stats. While in the trance, your body falls in a catatonic state. You can't move or take reactions. You're unaware of your surroundings. You can stay in the trance a number of hours up to your barbarian level plus your con mod, and you can do this once per long rest. This is great for scouting, not especially good for anything else, basically, unless you want to go into a fight and just beat it up while you're a bear, which I guess you can do. It's a little underwhelming. And then level 14, Shape of the Wild. As a bonus action, you can choose a new form for your primal companion, choosing it to instantaneously transform. When it transforms this way, its current hit points change to its new hit point maximum. You can do this once per short or long rest, or use a rage to replenish it, no action required. So that's also just sort of fine. The vibe is good. I like the fact that you can climb onto the Primal Guardian here if you want to. It's nice to do mounted combat as a barbarian. It can be fun. Although the Guardian one doesn't have better movement than you most of the time, which is a shame. It's a cool concept that I don't think comes out very well. I'm going to put it below the Muscle Wizard, which feels a bit weird, but here we are. Final 3, and then I can eat. We have the Cthulhu by Torchlight one now. Path of the Spell Scorned. Gives us 3 features at level 3, which I think is just splitting things up for needless reasons, but here we are. When you take the study action to make an Arcana or Religion check, you can make it a Survival check instead. Wisdom Survival check instead. Good to know. At level 3, you get Spell Hammer. You sheath all your weapons in energy that is crackling from other worlds and stuff. Once per turn, where your rage is active, you can deal double your rage damage bonus to a target you hit with a strength-based attack. If the target has legendary actions, can cast spells, or was summoned, you deal triple your rage damage bonus instead. Weirdly, as is the way with some of these books, it's just the same thing, but again, in slightly smaller titling. Weird. Spell Shield. While your rage is active, you radiate a spell-consuming aura in a 30-foot emanation from you. You and your allies gain a bonus to saving throws against spells equal to your rage damage bonus. That's really cool. It's not even a mini. It's just a paladin's aura, basically, but only against spells. But, you know, I mean, that's pretty cool. Level 6, you get Sunder the Weave. You get the counter spell prepared. You can cast it without spell slots or components, even if your rage is active. And your spell casting ability for it is Strength. As part of the reaction you take to cast a spell, you can move up to your speed and make one attack with a weapon against the target of the spell. You can do this once per short or long rest. Cool. It's fun. It's once per short or long rest, which isn't bad. And you're not only counterspelling, but potentially also hitting something. So that's pretty cool. Level 10, Bolstering Howl. When you or another creature you can hear takes damage, you can take a reaction to grant it resistance against that damage. In addition, the target gains resistance against that damage type until the end of the current turn. You can do this as many times as you want, so this makes you a great support tank. And then Dimensional Jewel has a lot of words. You get Banishment. Whenever you activate your rage as part or as a bonus action, you can cast that without a spell slot. Your spellcasting ability is Strength. You can maintain concentration even while your Strength is active, but you are maintaining concentration, so do keep that in mind. You can target up to 3 creatures when you cast Banishment this way, and you can choose to pursue the creature you banished. If you do, the targets you banish don't have the incapacitated condition for the spell's duration. Instead, you go to a demi-plane, which is an empty room where you can all just beat each other up, basically. You can do this number of times equal to your strength mod. It's such a fun final feature. I really like that. You basically get to single someone out and go, oi you, and then potentially take a couple of your mates with you to just jump on the dude. Very, very funny. So here we have Spellhammer is niche and kind of underwhelming, and that's the damage one, right? So our damage isn't especially interesting. The Instinctual Divination is a nice little boost to our out of combat utility. I like that. The Spell Consuming Aura is massive. 30 feet is huge. Paladins don't get that until quite late in the game, and this is very similar to what Paladins do, so that's really, really good. The spell shield feature is really, really good. Counterspell and also punching someone is also quite good. Resistance to damage for a creature as long as you keep your reaction open is also good. And the Dimensional Jewel is fun, potentially fight ending, depending on who you're taking with you here. And you can do it a number of times equal to your strength mod. So I don't like the Spellhammer feature. I don't love the Bolstering Howl, to be honest. Like, it is solid, but you probably want your reaction for other stuff a lot of the time. It's just like an emergency thing, right? It also only lasts until the end of the turn, which means it's not going to last until the end of the round. So it's not useful against multiple creatures. It's just that one creature. So it's tough. It is tough. I'm going to go with getting out of combat utility. Counterspell is good, but it's only once per short or long rest, which is a bit weak. And Counterspell isn't as good as it used to be either. So top of B. There's a lot of B tier here. Should I move something into C tier or something back up to A? I don't really feel like it should be there. None of them are in D tier though. That's nice, right? Maybe I'm just being too kind. Probably just being too kind. Path of the Titan is from the Northlands World Book. Rage of the Giants. When you activate your rage, if you're smaller than large, you can become large. Your equipment grows, usual stuff. While large, your carrying capacity doubles, your advantage on strength checks and strength saving throws, and your unarmed weapons or unarmed strikes deal 1 additional die of damage. I talked about this in my review. This means that the Great Axe is just the correct choice now. 3d6 to 2d6 to 3d6 is a 50% increase. 1d12 to 2d12 is a 100% increase. Just better. So this is an axe one. And then we've not got the levels for the rest of them either. Oh, D&D Beyond. Level 6, you get Crushing Steps. As part of your movement, you can move through the space of any creature smaller than you. Any enemy has to make a strength save or become prone and loses the ability to take reactions until the start of its next turn. It's just funny. You can keep running someone over until they fall over. I love it. Level 10, when you use your Brutal Strike, the distance the target is pushed by a forceful blow is doubled. The speed of the target struck by your hamstring and blow is reduced by 0 until your next turn. I think that's really boring. I just don't like it. And then Rage of the Titans at level 14. When you activate your Rage, if you're smaller than huge, you become huge. Your reach increases by 5 feet. You get advantage on strength saves, and you get 2 extra dice this time. So it's just a boost to our level 3 feature. 3d12 is a lot with the thing. This one has maybe the best damage boost because it's every single attack you make you're dealing this, especially because you're using cleave with great axes. Probably you're doing a lot of damage. I think this is probably the highest damaging one out of the Titanic Strikes. Is underwhelming, but it's there. But the Crushing Steps is huge. Being able to just stand on a creature and make them prone is very, very funny. I would chat to your DM and get them to maybe implement a once per turn kind of thing here, or you can just keep running back and forth on someone until they fall over, funny as that is. And to be fair, if someone wants to spend their turn doing that, I guess that's fine. But overall, this is a really, really potent damage dealing subclass, right? You're just adding dice to your weapon attacks, and it's not once per turn, it's every single attack, whether it's your turn or not. Which means if you can find ways, like the Zentrum feat of having consistent opportunity attacks, this thing really pops off. So I'm gonna put this at the top of A. I think the pure damage output that this grants and the ability to just knock people over by running on them makes it slightly stronger than the World Tree. So there. Our final one is the Path of the Wrathful Dead, which is also from Grim Hollow. You get Rage of the Dead at level 3. You gain the following benefits when you're raging. You ignore difficult terrain, and you can move through the space of creatures, but can't stop in the same space as them. Your speed increases by 10 feet, and opportunity attacks have disadvantage against you, and you can see objects within 120 feet of you that have the invisible condition as though they were visible, and you can see into the ethereal plane. It's like mini True Sight, which is hard to argue with. You also, every long rest, get to choose one of the 3 things at level 3. You could choose Hate, which is when you miss with an attack roll, you have advantage on your next attack roll you make before the end of your next turn. I don't like this for the same reason I don't like the other things that give Barbarians advantage on attacks. You have reckless attacks. You should be reckless attacking. Jealousy is when you have a creature you have grappled is about to make an ability check to end the grapple condition on itself. You can take a reaction to impose disadvantage on that roll. It's a little niche because you're probably not being an unarmed barbarian without something that's boosting your unarmed damage, so that's fine. And then Terror, when bloodied, you can take a bonus action to dash or disengage, which is fine. I don't love any of those. I like the first. I like Rage of the Dead a fair bit. extra speed, harder to hit with opportunity attacks, you get better eyesight, and you can ignore difficult terrain, right? That's all very, very good. This is the, like, disappointing pudding of level 3. So I just don't like it very much. Level 6 is Dark Doom Revisited. You can take a magic action once per active rage to choose one of the following options. Each creature of your choice in a 10-foot emanation must make a con save or take poison damage and gain the poison condition. You roll a number of d6s equal to your rage damage and add them together. And an affected creature can use an action to end the poison condition on itself. So that's potentially taking up some actions, which isn't bad. They also do no damage if they succeed on the save as well. Hypothermia is each creature in a 10-foot emanation must make a con save, take cold damage, and have its speed halved. The damage again is d6 is equal to a rage damage bonus, and the affected creature takes the cold damage at the start of each of its turns unless they use an action to end it on himself. And immolation is 15 feet. Dex save, or just take fire damage. The creature takes fire damage at the start of each of its turns. As an action, a creature can extinguish the fire by giving itself the prone condition and rolling on the floor. It also goes out if doused, submerged, or suffocated. So these are cool magic action AoE attacks. AoE stuff on Barbarians is cool. I'm here for it. It's just not very strong. Level 6. Man, Wizards of Fireball, they're doing, was it 86, right? In a fireball. I should really know that 100%, but here we are. I spend a lot of time looking at builds and not spells specifically, which is weird now that I've said that out loud. Anyway, you're doing 2d6 at this point in an AoE, and you have to be in amongst the fight, and you have to use a magic action, not swap this out from one of your attacks. It's also only once per rage, and the creature can end the extra effects on itself just using an action. So it's potentially some action economy swing, because the creatures have to use an action to end this, but the damage is a little bit underwhelming. The poison condition's great if they have to make other saving throws till their turn. And the ability to deal damage not just when you hit them, but also at the start of the next turn ups the damage a fair bit. The immolation one, for example, is effectively 4d6 at that point, assuming the creature can take an action to extinguish the fire on itself. So it's not bad, it's just not like as mind-blowing as it could be, right? Death is but a door at level 10. You get advantage on death saving throws, and you must fail 4 to die instead of 3. You can call spirits. You can cast the Cure Wounds, Raise Dead, or Revivify spells without material components. You gain 1 level of exhaustion of Cure Wounds, 2 for Revivify, and 3 for Raise Dead. Con is your spellcasting ability modifier for the feature. Once you use this feature, you can't use it again until you finish a long rest or expend 2 uses of your rage to restore your use of it. Bringing people back to life is pretty strong, actually, and having a barbarian that can also cast Revivify is wild. So this is very, very potent, despite the limitations. And then the final feature we are going over today is powered by Pathos. When you use your Final Night Catharsis feature, which is you choose a thing, you get extra effects. Hate also gives you the ability to crit on 19 or 20. That's just very good. Jealousy. When a creature you can see starts its turn within 30 feet of you while your rage is active, you can take a reaction to grapple them with spectral assailants. On a failure, the creature becomes restrained until the end of its turn. On a successful save, the creature is not grappled, but it's effectively in difficult movement terrain. And Terror. When a creature you see that starts within 30 feet of you while your rage is active starts its turn, some of those words made sense, you can take a reaction to make the creature terrified until the start of its next turn. Terrified creature is halved, and terrified creature's speed is halved, and opportunity attacks against it have advantage. That's all pretty darn good, but a little underwhelming given, I don't know, maybe I just don't like Barbarians. I think this is cool. The trouble is, Hate at level 3 was not great, because you get advantage if you miss against a creature, right? But at level 14, critting on a 19 or 20 is pretty strong, even if there is a fighter subclass that gives you that at level 3. It's possibly the strongest, well, it's certainly the strongest in terms of damage, but you do have the flexibility here, which is nice. And the ability to raise from someone from the dead once per long rest is real tasty. So I'm going to put this also in B, below the Zealot, I think. So there you go. That's a weird looking list, isn't it? That's a lot of Bs. Should I be using... I don't think any of these are D tier. None of these are just awful, right? Maybe I shouldn't be putting so many in Bs. I stand by it. These ones are good enough, but not like amazing. Fractured, World Tree, and Titan are all incredibly cool. Titan's such a damage dealing one, and Lightning Vessel just gives you everything you want. You're dealing extra damage, you get extra movement, you get control. Berserker's a bit dull. Glacier is just a bit clunky, I think. So I stand by it. But let me know what you think. But like nicely, be nice about it, you know? Opinions are allowed to be had. That's a whole thing. It's a game. We're not talking about anything serious here. Yeah. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope that you are doing well and continue to do well. I hope that you will take care of yourself. It will probably be a couple of weeks until I do another one of these, just because of various responsibilities I have as an adult with 2 kids. But yeah, like, subscribe, all that good stuff. take care of yourself, check out some of my other videos, and I will see you whenever it is I next see you, which will hopefully be on the next video that releases, which will be on Monday, because this is a Thursday style video. That's just how this works. Until next time, goodbye.